After 11 years, and excluding the occasional spin-off here and there, Kirby has indeed made his console return to Dreamland. With last year's release of Epic Yarn, the main problem stemming from reviews is that the game just didn't feel like traditional Kirby. So now we have the game that will hopefully lower the nagging just a bit. This is actually the 4th attempt Nintendo has made on making a proper Kirby game. The first being that infamous E3 2005 trailer, the second being a game set in a 3D world, and the third being designed like a pop-up book, all of which were unfortunately canned due to the quality not being up to Nintendo standards. That's kind of a shame too, cause that 3D one actually looks kinda cool. Regardless, after those 11 years, the 4th attempt is finally out, and make no mistake, this is definitely traditional Kirby through and through. So is Kirby's return to Dreamland a faithful return? Let's jump into it. The story starts on a nice peaceful day on Popstar when a mysterious flying ship called the Lore Star Cutter flies in through a weird dimensional hole and crashes, but not before the most valuable parts of the ship flying off while conveniently and impossibly staying completely intact. Kirby, along with King Dedede, a Waddle Dee, and Meta Knight go to investigate, and they spot the ship's captain, Magolor, who's obviously now in trouble, and they all offer to help him out. Now this is a Kirby game, so the story is completely irrelevant. But it does genuinely confuse me why Meta Knight and Dedede are so quick to offer to help with no reasoning behind it. Meta Knight is the series' anti-hero, so fine, I could kinda be okay with that. But why is Dedede the good guy now? Granted, he hasn't been the main bad guy in a long time, and it doesn't seem like that's gonna change anytime soon. But at least last time he helped you in Kirby 64, there was incentive for him to help you, considering he was attacked by dark matter beforehand. Here, Dedede is just quick to offer himself to the good side, which makes no sense. These are all little nitpicks that don't affect the gameplay at all, so let's move on before I find myself writing an angry letter to Nintendo. Return to Dreamland plays very much like a hybrid of Kirby's Adventure and Superstar. You have what you could expect in a traditional Kirby game, a lot of abilities. This is where the Kirby Superstar aspect comes into play. Each ability has a bunch of different attacks that could be used depending on what you're doing when you press the attack button. For example, with fire, standing still will let you shoot fire, being in the air will let you do a fire whirl, dashing will let you become a fireball, and holding down in the air does a fire spin. Every ability has a plethora of attacks to your disposal. Most of the abilities in this game are franchise staples, but with some new moves. But they even brought us 4 new abilities to play with. The Leaf lets you use the intense power of leaves to destroy everything in your path. Water lets you shoot what is apparently the strongest ball of water ever, as well as being able to surf on top of water. The Whip gives you a whip and a cowboy hat. Do I really need to explain something that is that amazing? And lastly, the Spear, which has actually become my new favorite, stabbing everything in your path like a monster. I don't care how twisted that makes me sound, it is crazy satisfying. All in all, there are 25 different abilities to play with. There are also a handful of items thrown at you from time to time to mix things up even more, such as the bomb cannon to break iron blocks, a water fountain which destroys everything above you, and even the Goomba shoe from Super Mario Bros. 3 acting the same way it did there. That's such a weird addition, but hey, I'm not complaining. Occasionally, the game will also throw one of 5 different super abilities at you. Aside from giving Kirby an even fancier hat, they give you a final smash type move to cause complete and utter destruction to the area. The first time you activate the move, you get a fancy animation where Kirby shows off his new toy, but every other time you use it, it only takes a couple seconds. You are technically timed with these abilities, but the main idea with these moves is to get to the dimension gate that is revealed by using the move at the right place, and you'll most likely get there before the time is even close to being up. Every level has 3 to 5 hidden energy spheres scattered throughout, totaling to 120. About half of them can be found in the main levels, solving simple puzzles to get access to them, while the other half can be found in pairs in these dimension gates I mentioned. Here you're racing to get to a door while a dark wall is chasing you, and upon getting to that door you're greeted with a Doomer mini-boss who guards 2 spheres. And yes, you're fighting one in every dimension gate, but they do get harder the more you progress through the game. Finding these energy spheres unlocks special rooms back at the Star Cutter. There are ability chambers which just hand out abilities along with having a nice punching bag to play with, and challenge rooms which give you an ability and grade your performance by how many enemies you defeat, how many coins you get, and how fast you get to the end. And here's the thing, they're actually challenging. Getting platinum medals is no joke. You need to be absolutely perfect. It is crazy. I only have one, and I'll never get another one again. I can't even get platinum on the one that I've already gotten one on. It's pretty crazy. And lastly, we have 2 minigames utilizing the Wiimote's capabilities. Ninja Dojo tests your Wiimote flicking reflexes to throw shurikens at targets, and you get graded dart style. I somehow nailed 8 bullseyes in my recording, which is pretty crazy, because I normally have trouble getting 5. Wait, I mean I'm always great at this game, shut up! And there's Scope Shot, where you destroy giant robots with guns. Like, I need to go on. You shoot robots with guns. Are you sold yet? And yes, the main aspect of the game is 4-player co-op. But I'm not really a big fan of co-op being thrown into platformers as of late, so I really have nothing to say there. Get it? Got it? Good. Moving on. I guess here is where I should start talking about complaints, huh? But I honestly don't really have any. Instead, I'd rather counter 2 complaints that I know are pretty common with something like this. 1. The game is way too easy. I think this all comes from expectations. At this point, when you play a Kirby game, don't you already expect the difficulty to be not too high? For a Kirby game, Return to Dreamland is just as it should. The beginning is fairly easy and the end of the game gets progressively harder. But the fun of Kirby games come from playing with the crazy abilities, and with 25 abilities, with more moves than ever, a handful of items to mess around with, and a few destructive super abilities, I could safely say I had one hell of a good time. And number 2, the game is way too short. Getting 100% in the main mode took me about 6 to 7 hours. For a Kirby game, that actually seems pretty lengthy to me. It is indeed possible to have too much of a good thing, but Return to Dreamland doesn't overstay its welcome. I think it's the perfect length. Not only that, but once you beat the game, there's a boss rush arena and incentive to play through the game again, this time with less health and harder bosses. That's a good amount of content for a Kirby game, I would think. So to me, this honestly feels like the perfect traditional Kirby game. And I won't spoil the end of the game, but the last hour is pretty damn awesome. Had to say it. Graphically speaking, Kirby looks very solid. We get it, the Wii's no powerhouse, but the game actually does look really good. The character models are greatly designed, and what I'm impressed with is the backgrounds. You only really focus on the foreground when you're actually playing the game, but if you stop and focus on the background, wow. That desert looks pretty awesome. I love the island background, and man, that sunset is mighty pretty, don't you think? It's no DKC Returns, but Kirby still looks really great. The soundtrack does its part proper too. While not as good overall as older games, there are still a lot of catchy themes to be found here. Kirby soundtracks may not be iPod material, but they're not something that you can feel like you'd rather listen to muted, and Return to Dreamland is no different. And man, that first level theme is just so damn catchy. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. This is my favorite traditional Kirby game out there. I would obviously consider myself a Kirby fan, and this game was a lot better than I expected it to be. Between abilities being more fun than ever and good incentive to play through the game a second time, the Return to Dreamland was definitely an awesome one. And if you've never played a Kirby game before, this is the perfect chance to jump into the series. I absolutely love this game. I give Kirby's Return to Dreamland a 5 out of 5. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have more Kirby to play. Thank you guys for watching the review, and I'll catch you next time. Now here, watch Kirby dance. Man, they even brought back the sleep ability. Can you imagine if they made a super move out of that too?